As you heard from Sandy, the relationship that I enjoyed over so many years, close to half a century and more, was a very, very unique and a special one. When Marvin and Renee came to Far Rockaway, as was just mentioned by Sandy, they were the first young couple that came into the community and immediately became part of the shul. But what struck me from the very beginning, when I first met Marvin, Olav Shalom, and Tabodla L'chaim, Renee, was that there was a spirit of friendship that was established from the very outset. And with the passage of time, that spirit of friendship never weakened. It became stronger and stronger with the passing of each year. What was this kesher? The kesher that I had with Marvin. The kesher that I had with him really was that, not of a rabbi and a congregant. It was basically a kesher of a chaver. Because a chaver in Jewish thinking has its own special, unique kind of a role to play. The Rambam tells us when he explains a Mishnah in Avos. There's a Mishnah in Avos that talks about Asei l'chorav u'kenei l'chorav. That means we are actually urged, make for yourself a rav. Choose somebody who's going to be your teacher, your mentor, and your guide. There it says, aseh, do it. But when it comes to a chava, there it uses a different expression. U'kenei l'cha chava. Acquire a chava. Acquire a friend. And the Rambam is intrigued by the fact that the relationship of chaverim, one with another, is different than the relationship of a Talmud and a Rebbe. It's different than the relationship even of a husband and a wife. It certainly is different than the relationship of a parent and a child, and of a sibling as well. The Rambam feels that the connection between chaverim is so unique and so special that he spends time explaining to us the different kinds of links that there are between chaverim. He describes what it means to be a chaver. And what is it that creates this special, unique relationship of friends? Friendship. Chacham said, I jotted down this when I saw it a couple of weeks ago. He wrote about friendship, and he said that friendship needs a certain parallelism in life. You really live parallel lives, and that's friendship. But the Rambam was able to break it down into three categories. And these three categories are basically the friendship that I enjoyed for close to 60 years with Marvin Olav, whom I will miss so much, who will leave is such a void in my life. Because the years that we spent together were very valued, they were very precious. Indeed, a chaver, everything that Hebrew word connotes, a chaver. Listen to what the Rambam explains about being a chaver and how he categorizes it. He says sometimes a person is a chaver because of the fact that there is a commonality, what he calls chaver l'dov. That's what he calls it, dov. Then he talks about being a chaver l'deya. And then he says there's a chaver l'daiva. So you take the breadth of the understanding of the originality of a Rambam to be able to dissect the relationship of two human beings as chaverim and to put them into three categories, almost like in a scientific way. What does it mean, chaver l'dov? What do we mean, chaver l'deya? And what do we mean by chaver l'daiva? Chaver l'dov means that you have more or less the same agenda in life. You have the same goals. You have the same objectives. And you live a life where you are chaverim l'dov. On the daily agenda of your life, of these chaverim, you're going to basically be occupied in pursuing the same goals and the same objectives. And that's a chaver l'dov. Listening carefully, when mention was made of the various institutions that Sandy mentioned as being the institutions that were so dear and near to his father, to Marvin, Oliver Shalom. And as I listened, I said, yes, isn't it interesting? Very often, chaverim can have different interests in different areas of Jewish life. They can have different interests and different agendas when it comes to good things in life, positive things. I'm not talking about nonsense. I'm not talking about those areas that are really absurd and have no meaning and no substance and no significance. I'm talking of things in life that are significant. But how often would you identify yourself with a chaver, with a friend, where his favorite yeshiva is yours, where his favorite tzedakah in Eretz Yisrael is yours, where his commitment and dedication to any item and any institution and any tzedakah and any charity, suddenly you realize it's yours. You're a chaver l'dov. You're chaverim for the same objective, for the same goal. The agenda is the same. But you know why the agenda is the same? Because you're a chaver l'deya. Deya is not dover. Dover means the item that is appearing on the agenda. That's dover. A thing, something. But deya means that you have a common approach and thought process when it comes to life. It isn't just common agenda, it's a common values. And if you have a common value system, then what concerns you is what concerns me. And that's how we become chaver. And so the Rambam says three things. Listen carefully. He says, who is a chaver? If it is the common agenda. Chaver l'dover. And what is it that brings you to that commonality of objective and of goals? The answer is because there is the commonality of thinking, of a value system. And that is called a chaver l'deya, up here, in your intellectual understanding of life. Here, your emotional heart commitment to life. So you become a